Like after 1 year of nursing, I was already venturing out of nursing. I can give him salary. So I own him. It took me a while to leave nursing because it's paying the bills and it's a lot of money for me. The investing part, I was doing it here and there because I really wanted to venture out. So I started like looking at real estate, but I find it so expensive. I wouldn't know what I'm really passionate about if ever I didn't really try stuff. Basically, we have network already, but it just scaled another level because of social media.
Welcome to another episode of Investing RN. Today we have Fe Diaz. Thank you for joining us. Fe is a nurse doing a business adventure with one of our previous guests that we'll kind of get into today. We usually start off by just kind of talking about your journey to and through nursing. Just why did you become a nurse and what does life look like today?
I think, it's funny because I actually watched just one of your episodes aside from one. It's actually Benji. And Colin was like talking to him, and then don't tell me that you're Filipino. That's why you're here. That's why. But I'm a Filipino, of course. My whole family's in healthcare, so I have no choice but to become one. I actually wanted to become what do you call this? An architect, something like that, like interior designing or anything like that. But of course, my dad didn't want me to do that, so I ended up being a nurse because at that time that was the trend was, and culturally we just follow them, so I ended up doing that. And I graduated in the Philippines, and then I went to Singapore after that, and worked in the OR, and then went to Qatar. After a year, I went to Qatar, lived there for 5 years. I was a flight attendant, by the way, in Qatar. So I lived in for 5 years before coming over here when my husband just petitioned me. So
Oh, wow.
that was my route. So incoming.
So that's the fancy airlines with the hats,
Yes,
right?
with the maroon hat.
Oh, that's great. So you didn't work as a nurse in Qatar. It was just Singapore?
No, in Singapore. And then when I came here, I was a nurse, obviously. Yeah, and I took nurse.
Okay. What does healthcare look like in Singapore compared to the US? Because you worked as a nurse here for a while as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. In the hospital. But my job over there is like in a clinic. It's in the surgical center. It's in an eye surgery. It's Singapore Medical Group. Yeah, that's where I worked. So it's just like a surgery center where they do like LASIK surgery, cataracts, all those. So center, yeah. And then here I work on the floor. So med surg tele, oncology, PCU, step down ICU, observation. I ended up training for ICU because I wanted to go to recovery room, which I did. Yeah, so I'm a peri-op nurse, until last year.
We won't get there quite yet.
Until not yet.
What happened last year?
No, I'm just kidding. You can talk about it. But wasn't Mon? She's a flight attendant too for a little bit, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's why we clicked. We didn't know that we're both flight attendants too until we were like, it was coincidental. But she was a flight attendant for Philippine Airlines, and we have a lot of common friends too.
So then you got into nursing here, and then a year ago something changed. What was it?
Oh, it wasn't just last year. It was since then. Since I started nursing, like after 1 year of nursing, I was already venturing out of nursing. It took me a while to leave nursing because it's paying the bills and it's a lot of money for me, So especially during COVID, there's a lot. The compensation is really high, right? So it took me a while before I really left nursing, but I already know that I will live it, right? That I cannot be a nurse like forever. So 2016, I think, when I started like venturing different kinds of side hustles and even different kind of businesses out there. So yeah, so it's not all of a sudden that I just left nursing. I planned it. I planned to at some point that I would leave nursing. Yeah.
In 2016, is that when you made that initial decision? You decided at that point, like, I think I'm gonna try to get out of here.
Yes.
I think something's interesting is Jen and I, my wife, Josh's sister, we were talking yesterday about like, so what are nurses doing when they start having these ideas? Because it seems like a lot of people are unhappy in nursing lately. And so when people start first getting this idea, like what steps are they taking? Are they going on Google? Are they going on YouTube? So for you, what did you first start doing when you decided, I might not want to do this nursing thing forever?
Yeah, actually, the first thing that I started was just like renting our own room, renting out our rooms to travel nurses. So that's our first real hustle. Like that is like really big because it we paid our like bills, like electric bills, like even at some point it paid our mortgage, for a couple of months. So wow, this is really working. It's like you're having borders because we don't have kids yet at that time, and we have, in Washington, I think it's all over US anyway, that there's a lot of travel nurses out there, right? And there's a lot of platforms out there. You can go to different kinds of groups, Facebook groups and platforms for nurses aside from Airbnb to rent out your room. So I know that real estate is like something big too. That's why, yeah, I'm excited to meet you guys, right? So yeah, so I first started with renting out rooms. Like we have 3 bedrooms and we don't have kids. So we just rented them out, just like an Airbnb style. I just took a picture of it and then, yeah, rented out to travel nurses and physical therapists, even physical therapists. We were able to rent it out. Yeah.
How did you guys come up with that idea? Is that just something you came up with on your own, or was that from listening to podcasts? And
I keep on researching. Plus, my coworkers were just like asking me, like, "Do you have a spare room?" Something like that. Oh, that's a good idea. But I didn't really ask them to come over because, of course, my husband at that time is not really open to that. But when I showed it to him, like the idea of it, yeah, that's the time. Okay, let's try one for as long as it's no dogs, something like that. No dogs, like whatever he wants, right? And then yeah, we paid off the bills just like them being renting our own rooms. So that's where I started like seeing that there is something out of nursing that I can really, really do.
did you know you were house hacking at the time?
Is that house hacking? I didn't
I
even,
I guess not.
I guess,
I didn't
no.
I didn't even know the terms. It's just that, I just know those. I started like, I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea. Yeah. But, oh, I think I know that term because one of my business partners actually mentioned that to me. And yeah, even garages right now, you can rent it out. But I don't think that here in Houston, I don't think that will happen in Houston. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But in California, for sure, yeah, 100% sure. You can rent out your garage, right? But
Yeah, but, out here in California, I mean, there's they've been doing a lot of the additional dwelling units, the ADUs, and people are putting them in their backyards. People are converting garages, whatever they can, just because there's a housing shortage and like the cost of living is so high. So for people that own the homes, it's a way to supplement their income, and for people who don't have housing, it's a cheaper solution. So it's been even for a state like California, and when I was living in Los Angeles, that's probably one of the most difficult places to build and get permits and all that.
oh, you
And they
need a
had
permit for
pre-approved.
that?
If you're gonna do it legal, like the right way, then you do,
So I'm
because you
not
got
doing
yeah.
it the way then.
Yeah. I mean, if you just want to hide a few people in your garage, I don't think you need a permit for that. But if you want,
It's on
if you want to do
Airbnb.
it like
I
yeah,
don't
like
think I'm
probably for an Airbnb listing, it's got to be like a proper unit, especially in Houston. You can't just have people like sweating it out in your garage with like, yeah.
by the way,
But yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
good.
I don't have borders right now. I have kids now, so I don't have borders anymore. I call them borders.
Uh, you call them borders. That's
I,
funny. It's cool to hear that you essentially somewhat came up on that with that idea on your own, just seeing a need there and then just pursuing that and then finding out, oh, hey, like this is, and you didn't even know it, but you were doing a strategy that a lot of people are using as their kind of gateway into real estate investing, because it is you already have the house, you have these rooms just sitting there. It's not like you're having to go out and buy some new property. So it's a very powerful way to get into it. So that's cool.
well, thank you for that
Yeah.
vocabulary, house hacking. Yeah.
Yeah, house hacking, that makes you a good income, and it really just kind of reduces your expenses. Was it at that point where you're like, I'm going to try to make money with this, or was that kind of just your introduction into how to make money outside of the hospital?
Yes, that's actually one way because I really wanted to venture out. So I started like looking at real estate, but I find it so expensive. We have two properties by the way, But we're doing it the old way. I'm now hiring a property manager, so I don't want the difficult stuff. Yeah, I can't manage it. I tried, but I just can't. I just can't handle all the technicalities, maybe, or yeah, the legality. So I just put up an LLC and that's it, and then just bring the property manager and that's it. I'm done. So yeah, so that's my real estate right now. That's where I right now. But aside from that, I don't want to manage it anymore. At least I know that what I want to manage and what not to manage. Yeah, when it comes to real estate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you're putting a ton of time into your other businesses. So real estate's not, it doesn't sound like it's your extra strategy anymore. It's
Correct.
more of a passive income.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it though with the property management that you found challenging that deterred you from wanting to actually handle that yourself?
I think it's the legalities, Colin, because when we transferred here in Texas, because first when we transferred from Washington to Texas, we first lived in Dallas. So one of our properties is in Dallas, and our property in Washington was over there. It's so far away. So when we ended up still giving up the one in Washington, we sold it. It's just like too much for me, even though there's a property manager, And then we just came up here, and then the what do you call this? The rules are different again, and I didn't even know a lot of like lingos over here. Like for example, MUD, PUD. I don't know those from Washington. There's nothing like that. And here in Texas, you need to shop for electricity, like electric bill. You know that here in Houston you need to shop. There's In Washington you just have like one line, one electric. Here you need to shop. So yeah, there's so much things going on here in Houston. I think it's a good market. That's why they're doing it, right? So yeah, so I really wanted to venture like Airbnb also, but it takes a lot of time. That's the thing. It takes so much time. Yeah, and I didn't maybe I didn't really enjoy the process too. Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we developed our own property management company to manage our real estate, but I will say that it's not necessarily something that any one of us is passionate about. We've done it, and I think we've, all credit to Jen. We've built a pretty solid property management company with good systems in place, and it runs pretty smoothly now. But it wasn't something that we were particularly excited about. Like none of us are just like, oh my goodness, I just really hope I get like some calls from tenants today complaining about like this, you know. So, but it's kind of a necessary evil. But we're doing it on a different scale too, where it's like if we were hiring that out, it would be a decent chunk of money that we'd be paying. So if you're doing it on a smaller scale and you've got other things going on, it sometimes makes more sense to use a property management company. Did you?
I was saying, and it's our strategy to get out of healthcare at the same time. Like if we were never planning on leaving, if we wanted to just make some extra wealth on the side, then that would be a different story. But we're trying to make as much money from this as we can.
Right. Yeah. Just to have that option if we want.
Yeah, you're gonna make a lot. Yeah, property management. I know there's a lot of people who are like offering, like when we left Houston. But of course, you want it in a bigger scale, which I think you guys are doing like an awesome job with it. Yeah, if you have, I think it's more of organizing it. But the thing is that my husband is not really totally into it, so it's just like by myself. But if you guys are tag teaming, I think that's where the magic happens. So that's why you're not feeling it, because I think your wife is able to like manage it. Yeah, it's more of, or if you're really,
We're feeling it.
yeah,
We're feeling it. We're
yeah,
feeling it because she's feeling it.
yeah,
But it's still worth doing.
yeah, it's something that you
Yeah.
guys should do together so that you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and to have that
Well,
stability too.
yeah, for sure. And like I think you said something that's kind of important. It's like your husband isn't really into it, and so like it falls on you. And then if it's becoming a stress, like an added stress, then it's like, okay, 10% a month or whatever it ends up being at that point might not be worth it, especially on a smaller scale. So did you, when you bought this property, it was just a house that you had lived in,
Yeah,
so
just that.
and then you moved.
Yeah.
Okay, so you weren't initially buying it as an investment property?
No, no, yeah, no. We want.
And
Oh,
and what made you?
the one in Dallas, yes. We bought it. We lived there for 1 year because that's the rule. You need to live there for 1 year. And we're checking out the area too, so it's double purpose, you know. So the one in Dallas,
Is that because it was an FHA loan,
uh, not
or what was the reason? What was the requirement for the 1 year?
1 year. You need to before you can rent it out, you need to live there for 1 year. So does that make sense? Is that
But
that that
yeah, but is
part
that
or
because you guys had done like the FHA 3.5% down
no?
loan?
We didn't. We should have.
No,
Yeah,
it was some
Oh,
other reason.
yeah,
I haven't heard of that reason
yeah.
or that rule.
Yeah. And we cannot
that must be
even
a Texas
rent it
thing.
out too. So some of the places, because it's beside, like it's within radius beside a hotel. Like there's Hampton Inn over there, so we cannot rent it out as an Airbnb. Which, by the way, that area, our townhome right there, is really good for Airbnb. So I was just like, oh, man, we didn't know that. We can do an Airbnb also. Like with that area, yeah, it's perfect because it's walking distance with hospital, and there's a lot of shopping center around. So it didn't work.
Speaking of Airbnb regulations, Colin, were you the one that sent me that reel on somebody was saying that like Marriott or Hilton, one of these big hotel chains is like pouring like millions, like $300 million into lobbying against Airbnb basically because it's taking business away from them.
I
So
I didn't
I've
I
heard
didn't send
there's
that, but it makes sense.
just so much money being poured into lobbyists trying to stifle Airbnb growth, I guess.
Well, I was gonna say when we interviewed, I think it was Aisha. She's got an Airbnb in Vegas, but it was like, I mean, I think it was the same thing. The hotels in Vegas were just so adamantly against Airbnbs coming in that they created all this extra. You know, obviously they're dumping so much money into like the politicians who are voting against these things. But she was having to pay some hotel tax just to be able to operate her Airbnb, which obviously increased the cost. But she was still able to make money off it, so that was cool. But
Well, and she was an early adopter into Airbnb. So this is before. I think she was grandfathered into a lot of things.
I also heard that actually it's the other way around. The hotels are now doing what the Airbnb does. Do you know that you can buy, like, or you can rent out a hotel room or buy a hotel room now, and then the hotel will just like do it for you. So that's one of the things that I just found out with one of my business partners, like doing in finance, who was like really into real estate too. Or do you want to buy like a hotel room, something like that? Oh my gosh, it's like the hotel business is taking the Airbnb Airbnb model too, you know. So that's kind of interesting.
I work in the Wisconsin Dells every once in a while, and they have something similar there. I wonder because it's like a condo with an association, so I wonder if that's it, where they do all the management and all the booking and everything. I haven't heard of hotels like strict like a Hampton Inn just Airbnb their rooms. I haven't heard of that. Is that kind of what you're saying it is, or is it's more of like the condo?
Yeah, it's not Airbnb the room, but I think you can have like a lease, or you can really be an owner of one of the rooms, something like that, for 30 years. Because I think hotels are franchise, right? They're a franchise model, and then their contract is like 20, 30 years. It's long time. So that's how they do it. And you can just, like, for example, for this 30 years it's Hampton Inn, and then the next year it will become Holiday Inn, right? Whoever wins the bid or something like that. So I think the whole thing, because they're fighting against Airbnb, I think they're already like restructuring their business model or something, right? They're restructuring it because everything now, it should be like within the trend, or else they're gonna be out of business really soon, right?
about to go buy up a bunch of Super 8
I
motel rooms,
Turn them into
$1,000 a
what?
piece.
well, hospitals should buy it because it's so hard to, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So, no,
that's true.
what's your specialty, guys? Like because I was like in PC, when I was like working on the floor, it's so hard to discharge patients because they're very picky. Some patients are very picky. They don't like Super 8, or they don't want to be in this lot or something because there's bed bugs. But so they end up being with us for a longer time, right? So,
Well, and that's something that you guys, so I'm in the ER, so we dealt with that a lot in the ER, but that was more in the bigger cities. Like now I'm out in more of like the rural area, and it's not, we don't have the same homeless population that we had there, but it became a big deal with case management and everything, where it was like you had to get them a social work consult, and you had to check all these boxes before you could discharge a homeless patient. And they learned it. They learned the system, and they knew, they'd come in at night requesting a social work consult, knowing that the social workers are not there, and then they'd get to spend the night in the ER. They'd see the social worker in the morning, and they'd just refuse all services and then just go back out. I'm not saying all of them did this, but I saw that pretty
Yeah.
frequently, where it was just like, they're abusing the system.
Uh-huh.
But I guess that's a whole different thing. but you got the house hack. You got a couple of real estate properties. Where'd you go from there?
Oh, the other one that I did actually, that I was like, I thought that I will end up like really doing that. But along the way in 2018, finance actually opened to my door too. So I was doing that. The investing part, I was doing it here and there. I don't know if I'm an active, I tried both, passive trader and an active one. So I like the passive, of course, like just like invest and then that's it, forget about it. I tried the active too, but it cost me a lot of headaches, so I left it. And then after that, my husband was just like really into travel nursing. So, but I don't really want to go travel nursing, I said, because the agency is the one who's making so much money. But it's the same thing, he said, So I actually did our own agency, like an independent contracting. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah. So I did independent contracting. So I opened our own agency, but and he is like, I'm the sole proprietor, or he's the sole proprietor, because so that I can give him salary, right? So I own him basically. So basically,
If he doesn't act right, he gets his pay cut, huh?
yes. So he's my
That-
so that's it. So I just like so that's all we did. But it's so hard to get into contracts too, because we're both in pairing up. I'm recovery room, I bring up post-op PACU, right? And he is in the OR. It's easier for him to get a contract, by the way. OR is easy.
are you
It's easy to sell. It's so easy.
are you are you talking about your husband,
Yeah.
just for reference?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
It's so easy to sell him, but it's so hard to contract.
just selling him off.
I know.
Just sell him. You own him. You're selling
I
him.
know. He's really good. So, he's really good. He can pick up all those shifts. So just basically, yeah, which is kind of good, but you really need to be like in a community, and yeah, so that you're able to get those contracts. So
Was this kind of your exit from bedside yourself? Because I know you kind of mentioned that earlier, like about a year ago, you finished. So now this is part of your strategy. And what else are you doing to replace the income that you used to make?
finance is actually my real exit strategy, because that's when I skyrocketed. Yeah.
Finance, okay. And what does that mean? Because that could, I mean, when I think of finance, it could be so many different things. So what is that specifically for
So,
you?
for example, healthcare workers are actually the ones that we actually help, because there's a lot of nurses who wants to get out of nursing, right? So for us, we tailor made it. So we want to know more about, for example, I have a coworker, right? So I want to know more what's her strengths or anything like that. What's her interest? If ever she's a risk taker or not. If ever she's a risk taker, okay, go. You can. I will recommend her or him to somebody else. But if ever she wants it conservative, we also have that wrap, right? So, and also retirement planning. So those are the things that we can always offer to nurses, because that's what they know, right? If you want to invest, usually all they know is actually retirement planning. That's where they start at the very least, right? Or yeah. So all those things, we just cater everything about investing to the level of what the employee understands.
So if you have a bedside nurse that walks up to you and says, I want to retire in 5 years, what is your initial instructions?
Oh no, we really talk to them first for at least like a good hour, and then get to know them. You really need to get to know them, because, or if ever they're gonna end up being like me, like venturing here, venturing there, Yeah, because you already know something, right? Those experiences are actually learnings, right? Because yeah, I wouldn't know what I'm really passionate about if ever I didn't really try stuff. right? So for them, I'm just like giving them the shortcut, right? So if ever you're really interested in doing this, because I always believe in options. There's so many options out there, so you just need to pick and choose whatever you're good at, and then yeah, and then venture other things afterwards if ever you get bored.
So kind of back to yesterday, Jen and I were just doing some research and looking at what people are like, what are nurses searching as they're maybe pursuing something outside of nursing. And it was, if you put financial literacy for nurses, there were like zero searches for that. I guess what I'm getting at is like, what are you doing to put yourself out there, and how are you marketing, and how are you finding these clients, or how are they finding you?
Actually, for finding, it's actually Mon who's doing that because she is well established already when it comes to personal branding, and she's already been doing it, you know. But she always to get her monetized, she always like do platforms. Same with me. I started with platforms. So, for example, you prefer like Fidelity or whatever these big companies are, right? And then you refer them. This strategies is like good for investing or something like that, and then you get a commission out of it, right? But now we partnered with something that a platform wherein it's like a non-captive company wherein we're the one who's gonna strategize for the client. I don't know if you get what I'm saying though, but it's more of like solving the problem of a client, and then solving their problems when it comes to like investing, and then doing it for them.
But are these clients finding you just through Mon's social media outreach?
Yes, mostly it's Mon, and actually we already because we partnered with another nurse who has like a staffing agency also. So we actually do in-house too. Like for example, sniffs, like those company, we do education like with the HR, you know, with the whole staff. So we do those too, like agency. So like we go in-house, and we also go virtually like this. Yeah. So every day like Zoom calls, Zoom meetings, and all. Yeah. We have we have network already, but it just scaled another level because of social media. You know, so it's a different ball game now because before what we used to do is like the old way. We go to hospitals, you know, we go to different stuff before we can get like a massive audience. But now we can go like just virtual like this.
And are you finding that there's a pretty high demand for nurses looking for financial education?
So much, so much. Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, especially I think I find it, or maybe it's just our target audience too, because you know we're immigrants. So there's a lot of immigrants who are like contacting us. Like 80% of that are immigrants. But some are contacting us like even though they're just burnt out. Basically, they just want to get out. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, every day we're just like on Zoom. Actually, I'm the one who drew a line already, right? Because my mornings are for homeschooling, so you don't touch my mornings, right? Something like that. I keep on like telling that to my business partners already, but you know, it's sometimes yeah, you can just like tweak it a little bit, you know. So
So homeschooling, now that you mentioned that.
yeah,
So so my wife homeschools also. It's a little bit different story because she's able to do it really well. But as somebody who's successful and somebody who's continuing to try and grow, how do you find that balance between homeschooling, family, work? Because it sounds like you're doing a lot. And how do you find the time to do everything and to do it well?
organizer. Yeah, buy this. That's it. Organize everything. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, uh, I wake up. I have this routine. You just need to develop a routine. If you have an effective routine, I think you're gonna do a lot more stuff that you can ever think of. I wake up like at 5 a.m. because I need to prepare my husband's, you know, breakfast. Their breakfast. My kids.
Before you send them off for the day to work,
Before you sell him
I
for
know,
the day.
not even
he gets
10,
up.
but
Where
now.
where am I going today?
Before I rent him out. Yeah, he's the one that. But anyway, so I need to wake up like for example 5 a.m. to prepare breakfast, and then after that, homeschool. I need to prepare the kids. By the way, my 4 year old is already going to school, like actual school, but I have a 1 year old. And I want to create that setup also that I'm homeschooling her because she likes it. You know, she has her own routine too. So, we just do it like for 2 hours because, you know, they get bored so easily. their activities is only 10 minutes. And then you need to jump in another 10 minutes again because you need to be creative, you know? So, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is different from Tuesday and Thursday, something like that. So yeah, it varies. But for as long as 11 o'clock, I can accept one call at the very least because it will be lunchtime. Yeah, something like that. And I think my it's very helpful also because my mother-in-law is here with us. So later this afternoon, that time is with mom-in-law. Yeah, so that's very helpful because um, from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. you can't see me, but I'm just here in the doing Zoom calls. Yeah, doing coaching calls and all those.
Are you house hacking a room to your mother-in-law?
No,
No, she's in the garage.
so so your schedule, you said from 1 to 7 you're on Zoom calls. So what does a day look like for you? How many Zoom calls are you doing with how many different clients?
oh yeah. So so it depends also. It all depends on where they at because some clients are just like in the first stage, and also I'm doing a coaching call with business partners because I'm a trainer. I'm one of the trainer in our field. So those are kind of different stuff. So it all depends. But I'm very organized though when it comes to my I know where they at, so it's all different. So some of my Zoom calls are actually with clients, some are actually with business partners where I'm training them to become a trainer. If that makes sense, yeah.
And then how much, I'm trying to word this appropriately
Money.
without asking how much money you're making. Because you step back from the hospital
Uh-huh.
completely, so have you fully replaced that income?
Yeah.
And yes. Oh, well,
Yeah.
good. That answers it.
Way more
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
Way
more,
more.
actually.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Now you've got Josh's interest.
Continue.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Because
What's the model type? Is it more of a recurring revenue or a commission based on a sale?
there's a commission based on a sale, and also there's like passive. So because yeah, because if you already have that book of business before, recurrent is like continuous. So
And if you sell, I think I'm just going to ask you directly so I don't stop beating around the bush. So if you sell something, I don't know exactly specifically what you sell, but if you sell something and it's like a $500, do you get like a 50% commission and 10% recurring yearly, or like what type of payment structure do you have,
because
I guess?
there's different kinds of so if ever you restructured a policy, for example, a retirement plan, right? If you restructured a retirement plan for a client, so definitely that's the big chunk of money, like for a commission, right? Because basically, for example, you guys have 401ks?
Not
No,
anymore.
not
No.
anymore. I love that. Love that. At least you're not there anymore, right? Yeah, example, you're restructuring a 401k because that's what nurses know, right? And then you place that policy. Of course, you're going to get that commission, right? So for transferring that money, right? So basically, that's how the big company, the financial industry makes money anyway. Like the banks, right? That's how they make money if ever they get your business. So you get that commission because you're the financial strategist at that time. And then next year, once there's a renewal income, there's a recurring income, there's bonuses also. So it depends which company is it. Yeah, so it depends which company offers this and that. But of course, it all boils down to what the client needs, right? So you just need to tailor made it for your clients.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I
of course.
I
That's
think
cool.
no, I mean it's cool that like you're able to like get into this thing and find a schedule that works so much better than you, and you know you're like, in addition to like helping other people with their finances, you've been able to like greatly change your financial outlook, and now you can have the structure of life that you want. um I think before we forget again, we should talk about the Rich Nurses Club.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yes.
uh, because last time we talked to Mana, we completely forgot. We were like, oh shoot.
Yes, actually, me and Mon created that. We really want to actually just empower nurses, like to get out of, their nurses are very scared. They're just very scared of venturing out of nursing. And I know that. I think I felt that at some point. That's why I clinged into it for so long. Right? I could have get out of nursing sooner if I wanted to, because but the fear, it's just that they have this big fear that if ever they lose that big paycheck. It's still big. Our income is still quite good, like compared to other professions, you know. And I think they're just not. They're gonna be so uncomfortable, you know. They're gonna be so uncomfortable, like getting out of that system. And what I think it's a change of belief too, because the corporate America, they really like pre-wired us to get scared, you know, that if ever you don't have a job like this, you won't be having health care, you know, you won't be covered with this insurances, like you won't be having this and that. But it's okay, you know, it's okay because you need to grow too. and and there's so many options out there, so many. You keep on seeing like a lot of YouTubers or 19 years old, or teenagers who's making like millions of dollars just by posting stuff or doing stuff online, you know. And it's not that they just got like lucky or anything. They did something to capture that kind of amount of money too. And yeah, so we need to learn from there too, and we need to actually leverage the power of internet, right, to form this kind of community. That's why we really formed a Rich Nurses Club, just to empower nurses, basically, just to empower nurses, just to get out of their shell and just not to be afraid, like venturing different kinds of hustles that can replace. Definitely, it's you can replace it. You know, in 6 months or a year. I know that because I saw it. You know, and I'm working with nurses who are doing it too. So yeah, so it's doable. It's so doable.
If I want to come join Rich Nurses Club, what does that look like? Are you guys offering like weekly meetings? Any, like, I guess if I wanted to come join, what is offered and what would that look like?
Yeah, so later on there will be like weekly meetings. So that's what we're looking at right now. So yeah, we haven't really finalized it yet, but yeah, later on we're gonna develop the community first because we're in building phase right now. We're just doing the building phase of the community, and I love the community that we're building already because we only have few hundreds, I think, of followers right now. But Mon is actually the one who's bringing so much volume. Yeah, with it. Yeah. So we haven't finalized it yet, but there will be something. You know, there will be something. We're just finishing our book. Yeah, we haven't finished it yet. So
And I assume this will be like a paid community, or what's the
for now,
I guess what's the
no, for
no?
a paid community, no, no, totally not. Yeah, everybody's welcome. Yeah, everybody's welcome for RNC right now.
Even your husband?
I do right there. Well, he was on call,
Yeah.
by the way, so he's now.
Uh, yeah. So what's been your favorite part of the entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, definitely owning my time. I can say that now because oh my gosh, you have no idea, Colin. When I was like in nursing, I was doing double job and all that. I was like a float pool in this hospital. This is my regular job, and they're very strict with time. And then when I transitioned to peri-op, oh, peri-op nursing is a different ballgame because you have calls. That's different. I don't with you know that you know that
I'm very familiar.
okay,
Yes.
yeah, anesthesia. So you have calls too. So it's a different ballgame, and they're very strict with calls. You cannot argue with them, you know, because you need to have this or else you're gonna receive that lovely letter again, right? Yeah. So definitely owning my time is one because just as I mentioned earlier, I'm homeschooling like in the morning, and I want to do it my way. So definitely, I'm already a boss of my time. So that's the main thing that is like the most important for me.
Yeah, that time freedom. I mean, it's a different kind of thing because I mean, from what I can see, were you always this organized, or is that something that you've developed and now that you're working and just owning your own time?
Yeah, probably it's because of my upbringing too. But somehow it plays a big role. And yeah, totally, my parents, I love them, you know, but I was raised with a very strict household. Yeah, we're five of them, and I can see that because my siblings are all what do you call this, they're all doing good. You can tell. So I think it's upbringing too, but they're very strict. But you don't want to be so strict with your kids, right? Even for me, because you're gonna get anxiety, or else I have this thing also that I'm working on myself, right? If I didn't achieve it, I will get really mad. But yeah, but yeah, that's just who I am.
But since they were kind of pushing you towards nursing, and now you're obviously not doing that anymore, are they? Can they see what you're doing, and are they pretty happy with what's going on and what you got going?
Well, the good thing is they're not here, so they're not safe.
Thank goodness. Wow. Dodged a
hopefully,
bullet.
Yeah,
hopefully they don't get
I
Instagram.
know. They're not here. That's good because my dad actually came over last year. Usually they visit me every year, but because my grandma is like way older and they're taking care of grandma back home, so they couldn't come and visit me. So yeah,
So
at
when
least
you
it's
when you zoom
peace
them,
and quiet right now. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I
We've
when
got
you
the
zoom,
most.
I love him, but yeah, he won't be able to see this. So unless
oh, I was gonna
give
say,
it right, but yeah,
do you have to throw your scrubs on when you zoom them?
I will. Thank you for that. Now I will.
This is the best episode for sound bites. We have your husband. We have you owning your husband, selling your husband. Thank goodness my parents are not here.
I know. I miss.
So funny.
I miss them.
No, it makes
Oh,
sense. I mean,
yeah.
I get it.
I just don't know if
We
ever
we
is there something that we can keep from this podcast, though. I don't know.
no, there's plenty. There's plenty.
Yeah. Well, so I think we'll go ahead and jump into our final five. So we ask the same five questions for everybody, and we'll start with our first question, which is a top financial resource that you found. Like, where do you go to educate yourself?
Oh, community. To a community, yeah, for sure. You need to have a stable community to educate yourself. Yeah. Just don't try to Google anything online because everything has their own perceptions online. But if ever you found that community wherein it's solid, with solid foundation, that's where you're gonna go. Yeah. And of course, you get those mentors also, mentorship. You need to have a mentor wherein you see results already and then pick their brains. You need that.
So what advice would you give yourself as a new grad?
As a new grad, um, yeah, just ooh, that's a tough one. Huh? Yeah, just I think just follow instructions or something like that, and just have a thick face. Yeah, whatever yeah, because it's true. Just have a thick face. You're gonna get through it. Well, I was like in
So
med
Right.
surge, I was in med surge. That's my very first, and they eat their young. That's true. They will eat you, but it's up to you if ever you get eaten, right? No. But no,
so you just gotta be
you
tough.
just need to
Be
have,
tough.
yep, just need to be tough and just go through it. It's
Yeah.
fun though, you just need to get your own people.
Okay. What number three? What excites you about in the next 12 months?
Oh, our agency. So our agency is fastly growing, so that's exciting me so much. And me and Mon are just like so busy. The business is actually firing me up. So that's a big thing for me. So we're going massive, and we're actually due to go to Monterey, in California for a mastermind. Monterey, is it California? That's in California, and also Japan in February. Yeah, so I'm excited about those because we're handpicked. We were handpicked by the management to do that. Yeah. So it's something big because we're doing something good. So it's really something that I'm really excited about. Yeah.
That's very exciting. And how do you, so as you continue to grow, how do you avoid burnout? Because I mean, I know you said it's exciting, but I think just regardless of how exciting things are, if you work a certain amount, everyone's always going to get burnt out. So how do you make sure that you avoid that?
Actually, the good thing is our community actually wants us to prioritize our faith first because we're a faith-based company and we're a faith-based group because basically me and Mon are doing that. So we have certain time just to do our what they call this meditation and family, and we have special time for that. We have a special huddle for that. We do Bible studies together too. So those are the things that really help me, And yeah, and just organize your work week too. So that's why I was telling you earlier, right? So for mornings, nobody will touch the schedule for me because this is our time, right? So if ever you just draw that line too, so that later on they can bombard me with all assignments and all those stuff, right? Yeah. So yeah, those are the things that I think I can.
So the fourth question is, how do you define success?
Success is owning your time, finally, right? So yeah, everything is time. I feel like time is the most expensive thing out there, nothing else. Money is just like, it's just like a tool, you know. It's just a thing. Now I can really say that because before I used to like do this side hustles for what? For us to have money. But now it's just like a toy. It's a monopoly game. Now I you really get that game once you're already in the game. So now I can really say that because I'm already in there. So yeah, and I'm not afraid anymore. I think if you're not afraid anymore of not losing it or anything like that, yeah, you own your own life. Now I really do.
Just
And
as
I
long as your parents don't find
I
out.
know. As long as my sister, I tell my sister about this, but as long as my sister won't give it to them, this this recording.
that's something that we're always trying to preach also, is just get started early, because as you just said, like once you're not scared, then it becomes just, yeah, money's just a tool after that. And I think inevitably everybody's going to be scared when they first start. So once you get in early enough, get through that scared part, and then after that it's just, it compounds, and then you can finally own your own time. All right, the fifth question is, what's the biggest financial mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, I didn't start earlier than I thought. You know, very early. So yeah, when I was like in Qatar, having all this. You know, everything is new to me. So when I have this salary, and it's tax free over there, by the way. Okay, so no tax. So everything's for free. My hotels are free everywhere you go. Like when you're in Europe, Africa, Asia, everything is free. You know, so you just splurge your money. And my brother is already finance savvy at that time, and he was like telling me to invest this, invest that, but I didn't listen. You know, I didn't listen. So I should have started vlogging too, right? Because that's an investment too. So I didn't started that too. So those are the things that I think, those are the things that I just somehow regret, but I think more of learning so that I can pass it over to your kids, right? So if ever you have an idea, go do it. Go take it. Go take that risk, or else you cannot rewind it. You know, you're not going to be 21 again, right? So yeah, just go do it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today. I mean, that was
I
a
know.
fun one. And
No, thank you for making it fun.
yeah.
Oh, we try really hard.
No, no.
Thanks for not being offended by our jokes. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you for I think my husband is right there yet. I don't know if you want to. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Is he allowed? Is he allowed to come out now?
It's like, no, do not come in here.
Well, here, let's here real quick. Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, so you can reach me on Instagram, fediaz.rn, and also RNC, which is Rich Nurses Club. Yeah, both on Instagram.
Well, go ahead and check out Fe Diaz, the Rich Nurses Club, and if you haven't already, check out the Investing RN on YouTube, Apple, all the things. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.